Today we're going to talk about a must-know pattern for trading during these crazy times. I mean, at the point I'm recording this video, we're in the middle of the pandemic, but the markets in 2020, and I think going forward, are going to continue to be just as volatile. This is a number one pattern you need to be focused on. Hey everyone, I'm lead trainer with StocksToTrade, Tim Bohen here. Be sure to like, subscribe, and ring that bell to be notified as soon as we drop a new video. I mean, we're doing so much content out there right now. I mean, we're doing podcasts, long form, short form, live videos, patterns, talking about fundamentals. We're really trying to give you as much trading information as possible on our channel. And what I want you to do is be notified immediately. So ring that bell, especially when we go live. That way you can jump in, do some Q&A, and really hone your skills. So that being said, today I want to talk about I think, one of the top three and maybe the number one pattern you need to be looking for right now. It's called I call it the dip and rip. A lot of people have different names for it. I mean, a lot of traders come up with kind of setups, something if you'll hear me talk about on the Steady Trade podcast, a lot is tracking your setups. And one of the best ways to track your setups is give them catchy names so that you can, when you're doing your spreadsheet or however you're tracking your trades, you got a name for it. This is the ABCD pattern a lot of people trade. This is the week open red to green pattern. This is the dip and rip. This is the VWAP hold high daybreak. I'm giving away all my secrets here, but these are some of my favorite patterns. But anyway, the number one I want you to look for is the dip and rip. And I've got a great example of it, that I'm going to break down on your screen right here. So this is one of the best patterns out there because it's a way to trade these huge movers, okay? Everyone right now is fixated on big movers. Rightfully so. I mean, this dates me a little bit. I've been actively day trading for 15 years now, and I've never seen volatility like this. We used to go weeks and months, pre-2016. I mean, 2016, markets just completely changed, but pre-2016, we would go weeks and months waiting for a 500% runner. These days, we see 500% runners. Yesterday, we had a 1,000% runner. Today, we had a 900% runner. That's just 2 days. It happens to be the day I'm recording. But these huge moves are prompting traders to be chasing stocks up. And I know chasing quite frequently is referred to as a bad process or approach, but right now it's a chaser's market. And what's great about the dip and rip is it's a pattern that's a big gainer, shoots up in pre-market. And I'm going to talk about DPW on my screen. This is a chart from yesterday. This was about as textbook as they get. So what are we looking for? There's a lot of criteria. Number one, simple gainers. Okay, StocksToTrade has a bunch of scans built in to spot the biggest gainers of the day, whether it's pre-built or you do a custom scan. You can see in my upper left-hand screen, Groupon, WAFU, XSPA, SSFT, these are some of the biggest gainers. You can see 100%, 200%, 1,000% moves. Not unusual these days. So you've got that big gainer. It's pre-market. Maybe you're a little timid. Maybe maybe you don't want to chase up the stock, which in pre-market, I caution all newer traders to avoid. I really want you to target after the market open when stocks are more liquid. You're not dealing with some of your brokers. A lot of you, if you have small accounts, your broker might not even let you trade pre-market, but you can still track these setups. So it's that big mover on news. Okay, something great about DPW yesterday. They had $3.2 million in orders with defense contractors. Okay, that's a big deal. Okay, I mean, when you say what you will about the military-industrial complex, and we won't get too into that, but I mean, there's a lot of money in defense and defense contractors, and if it's a Boeing or a McDonnell Douglas or a Lockheed Martin or these huge billion-dollar corporations, they pay their bills. This isn't some sketchy biotech that might cure coronavirus. They got 3.2 million in defense contractor money. That tells you this stock can move. So that when that news came out, DPW went from $1.50 to $3.70 in pre-market. Huge move, over 100% move, almost 150%. So now you're ready. You got your news, you got your price action you're looking for, but you're a consistently profitable trader. You're somebody that's looking to not gamble. You're not trying to throw stuff at the wall. You're looking for a pattern that you know repeats. So you wait, you bide your time. The other wild thing about the markets right now is so many of these stocks are heavily shorted. Okay, to be honest, I think it's crazy to short a low float stock with news. I mean, there's just the risk to reward is so skewed. Okay, remember when you're shorting, especially a low float stock, I mean your potential for disaster is so high. As a real trader that's trying to grow your account and be consistent over time, your goal isn't to potentially blow up your account. Your goal is to grow your account. So people, it still blows me away, they still short these stocks. So that's the key ingredient of that dip and rip pattern. And you can see stock ran all the way up again in pre-market. The light gray area is the pre-market, which goes up until 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Stock could win as high as 510. So you're like, you've got the FOMO, you want in, but you're telling yourself, no, I'm going to wait for confirmation. Okay. When you get a trade entry confirmed, it heightens your potential for success and it limits your potential for losses. So now you can see once the stock opens up, it pulls back hard. That's that dip we're looking for. Then we're keying off of the pre-market high, which we're going to round to $5. Okay, I know the high was actually $5.24, but we fixate on these whole dollar, half dollars. If you watch a lot of these videos, check out, we've got hundreds of videos. Check those out. I talk about whole dollar, half dollars all the time. Traders fixate on those. So I'm going to round my high a day to $5, and I'm going to sit back, I'm going to relax, and I'm going to wait for the pattern to develop. I talk about, I'm a big Navy SEAL fan. I've read practically every Navy SEAL book. Remember, if you're a sniper, if you're truly a sniper, you're going to sit there and you're going to wait and you're going to wait and you're going to wait until the target comes out. Okay, this is one of my kind of probably silly analogies, but I mean, if you're a professional sniper, you don't just start shooting anybody that comes out of the bunker. You wait for the general, and if the general doesn't come out, you pack up your gear and you go home. It's a lot like that with trading. So what's great about this pattern is you get that confirmation when the stock pulls into the open, which also collects short sellers, okay? Short sellers are going to short that weak open. Then when you get that break of that high of the day at 5, in this instance, that's telling you that all the shorts are upside down. How do you know that? It's the high of the day, okay? Nobody that shorted DPW can be green when it hits the high of the day. It's impossible. It's a new high day. Nobody can be green. So what are they going to do? They see their losses start piling. They start panic buying. What does that do? That brings in more volume. Now you've got the breakout buyers buying. You got the people trading the dip and rip buying. And you got shorts panicking out. Odds are the stock is going to spike. And you can see that within a matter of minutes. This is a 1-minute chart. So when it broke 5, within 4 minutes, stock hit 6+. You risk a fail. So what you would do is you'll risk, remember risk management, you have to have a stop. You would risk a $5 fail down into like that 475 area. That, which would have been VWAP yesterday as well. That's the great thing about VWAP. It gives you a potential exit as well. And if you don't know what VWAP is, check out our videos. I talk about it nonstop. Some of you might be sick of me talking about VWAP, but you risk that 475 area. Your goal would be 3 times your risk to reward. See what we're doing here? We're building a trade plan. We're approaching this like a professional. So that means I would have a goal of, if I'm risking 25 cents, my goal would be a 75-cent gain. Stock spiked to 6. Maybe it pulls back. You take your profits at 5.75. You just risk 25 cents to make 75 cents a share. if you got 1,000 shares, even if you got a few hundred shares, that's a nice gain on a small account, and it's a consistently repeatable pattern, okay? Something I do with the Steady Trade team, I do every single morning, never miss a morning, we do a live webinar. I'm live at 9 a.m. and we're dialed in on these dip and rip patterns, and I'm telling you, the last 6 months, I'm not saying there's one every day, but 3 out of 5 days a week, 4 out of 5 days a week, sometimes every day, we have one of these patterns. It repeats, and it repeats. And I'm not saying every single one works, okay? You will get stopped out here and there. But if you focus on these patterns, if you're winning if you're winning 3 out of 4 times and you keep your losses small, you're stopping out at VWAP, you're stopping out at those failed areas. If you're making 3 times what you're losing with a 75% win rate, you're crushing it. You're better than 90% of the traders out there because you wait for that setup to come. You dial in all your criteria, everything I told you to look for, low float stock, big, former runner, we call it, unusual volume, has legit news, big gainer in pre-market that pulls into the market open and then re-breaks out post 9:45 or all the way up until that 2 p.m. window, and it repeats and it repeats and it repeats. That is what you look to do. Okay, you're not trying to do random stuff, trading 500 different setups. If you have just a couple core setups that you dial in on, you can be consistent. You can be one of that, we talk about 90% that fail. You can focus on a couple patterns. You can be part of the 10% that succeed over time. You won't be if you're trying random patterns at random times a day with random criteria. All right, everyone. Keep in mind, check out the Steady Trade team. We go over this live every day. I mean, I have a webinar from yesterday on DPW. It was a 45-minute webinar, and I bet you I spent 35 minutes talking about DPW. We traded it live, watched it live. We were discussing it in chat. The Steady Trade team's a small group. It's a great group. I think we've got one of the best chat rooms out there. 100% positivity, 100% productive. Check out the Steady Trade team and keep an eye out for the next hot dip and rip.